going on, everybody? Once again, back it's the incredible Dale Valor's Inner Game podcast. And this one's going to be a banger, man. But as always, got my trusted confidant, Shabam, joining me.
Hello.
So today's going to be a banger, man. We got Dr. Robert Glover coming on with us today. And when he jumps in, I'll, push him through. But he is the author of this book here. Let me get my lighting right. No more Mr. Nice Guy. And man, like this book, this one here is a game changer. If you are not familiar with that book, I'm telling you right now, take the time, go get it, order it on Amazon, whatever you got to do. But mainly, if you do it, which I highly recommend, do the goddamn exercises, man. It drives me up a wall when, the writer takes the time to show you how you can transform from being the quote unquote nice guy to coming out of that and being an integrated man, as he likes to put it. And I'll let him break that down when we get into the call here. But the thing is that he lays out step by step as to how to make that transformation happen. So when you see exercises in a book that you think can really change or help change something that's going on in your life, do the exercises, man. But the thing is, man, like, have you read it, Shabam?
I had read an audiobook long back.
Oh, okay. Got you.
Basically, I was working in gym or something, and I just put the audiobook, and that's how I got to know about him. So I have a general idea of everything. So
I probably read it 10 times if I've read it once. All right. That's how much of a game changer I believe No More Mr. Nice Guy to be. And it certainly was. It was a game changer for me. There's a lot of great, just so much great information in there.
Information inside, yep.
Yeah, that you can look to yourself and say, okay, this is an area that I'm struggling in. Maybe you're the type of guy that, that you're a people pleaser or a doormat. Or, a yes man, and you don't like that about yourself, and nor should you. These are all things that, are just asking for yourself to get taken advantage of by not just like women, but just life in general.
Yep.
You have to be able to say no to people. You have to be able to set boundaries. And this book is such a great demonstration on how to do that. I love the fact that he, uses himself as an example in so many areas as to how he made this transformation happen. And we're definitely going to get into that. But I mean, this book has spawned so many different communities around the globe of people who actually do meetups based around what's in this book, because it's an issue. I mean, look, we've all heard the term nice guy, right?
Yep.
And, and sometimes I see I'll get questions on social media, or I'll see somebody post things here and there, and they're like, well, I'm not trying to, what's wrong with being nice? I don't want to be an asshole to everybody and things like that. I don't enjoy being like that. And it's not to suggest being kind or nice is a bad thing. It's what the term nice guy has evolved into, where it's like, exactly. I'm going to go out of my way to, be that guy that is going to paint her house, building the addition on her house. Look, I'm a phone call away, moment's notice, doesn't matter. I'm there. And it's all looking for that reciprocation from a woman, it could be a family member, could be friends, whatever, as to suggest that I'll do anything that you need me to do for a scrap of your attention, and that's just not a good way of going about things, because people don't respect that. People are liable to walk all over it, and again, it's not to suggest that being kind or being nice or genuine or something like that is a flaw or a fault. No, absolutely not. The way I like to position it or frame it is like this. You as a man, you have a kingdom. Now, it might be a big kingdom, it might be a small kingdom, but nonetheless, you are the king of your castle. All right. Now, I think that we could all agree that, a king being kind and just and noble and things like that are all positive attributes for a king. You don't want somebody ruling with an iron fist. Somebody, you don't want to be in somebody's kingdom that if you just look
it's like a dictator
direction, they're gonna lop your head off. Nobody wants to live under that kind of stress and fear, right? And some totalitarian type of regime, nobody wants that. Everybody wants to be associated with a king that has strength and is just but fair and kind. And that kindness is coming from a position of strength and power. If I'm super wealthy and I'm writing checks off to different charities and things like that, that's coming from a position of strength. It's not because it's something that I feel like I need to do in order to make this organization like me, So all that those are good, positive attributes. It's not about, everybody likes to look at things so binary, so black and white, where it's like, it's either you're a nice guy or you're a raging asshole. No.
Exactly.
Those are like the fringes, right? With a lot of gray area in the middle. You might be a nice guy in some situations and an asshole in other situations, and look, the situations where it calls for being an asshole, because sometimes you do have to, the times where that's called for, that you can actually do that, where you're not so worried about somebody else's judgment or perspective or the way that they think about you. That's the difference, is the way I see it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. I get it. The problem, like you just pointed out, was people directly go to the entire extremes. And now people believe that you can just be one or the other. Either you're a nice guy or you're an extreme. They basically believe there's no in between. And it's kind of the whole problem. Wait, I'm getting a message that the internet connection is unstable. Is it from your side?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
That's fine. Okay, fine.
Yep, you're absolutely fine.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's hope your internet doesn't go out, huh?
Yeah, that's the last thing I want, especially now. No, I just got an display error saying that your internet connection might be a bit. Well, I was like, yeah, kind of sus if it happens now.
No, you know what? It's funny you mentioned that, because they're doing a bunch of work right outside my house. DTE, which is the local energy company. And I was like, man, wouldn't that be a bitch if we're in the middle of this and my power goes out or something like that, because you're out there working on the lines and all that kind of thing. Man, wouldn't that be something,
Yeah. You would legit be like, where's my bat? I'm going to meet the provider.
Right. But
that would be funny.
So I just got back from the Miami area in Florida this week, and you would be proud to know, Shabam, that we went to an Indian restaurant.
How was it?
It was good, man. It was good. Traditionally, I haven't been the biggest fan of Indian food, but that's because really it boils down to I don't really know what I like.
Yeah, exactly. There's just so many dishes you don't know unless you've actually tasted a couple of them.
This was kind of an upscale place, and it was, what did I get? It was chicken vindaloo. Does that sound right?
Yeah, vindaloo. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Here we go. And it was really good, by the way. It was super delicious. All
Yes, sir.
right. Oh, tough guy. Oh, there he is. All right.
Hello.
All right.
You're muted. Yeah.
There he is.
There he
All
is.
right.
Hello.
All right. Dr. Robert Glover, thank you so much. I'll tell you the God's honest truth, man. I was singing your praises right before you jumped on. And I got to tell you, man, this is a pleasure. And like, I'm just so glad that you were able to join us because, you know, like this book here has been a mainstay and it's such a game changer for myself. And I know, you know, thousands of other guys that have read this book and, you know, in my coaching and I always recommend it. My book is about 99% done. And I referenced this book so much inside of my own, not suggesting that I plagiarized or stole your shit.
Yeah, but to go buy it, right? Go buy it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like I recommend it all the time, man. And I'm so glad that, you know, that you put this out, you know, it's just such a game changer. But, you know, I guess, you know, the first thing that I really want to get into is your own personal story, you know, and in large part in this podcast, what we talk about is overcoming adversity.
All right.
And, you know, we've had on guys that, I mean, their life stories are just insane, you know, and anytime somebody overcomes that type of adversity, it's just such an inspiration to me. And I know if it's an inspiration to me, it's an inspiration to others, you know? So like when, and I know the story because if I was telling, oh, this is my co-host, Shabam, by the way.
Shabam,
hello.
Good to meet you.
Yep.
Good to meet both of you.
Well, yeah, it's great seeing you face to face, man. So, you know, I know your backstory just from the book. And like I was telling Shabam, if I've read it once, you know, I've read it 10 times at least, you know? So, you know, with your backstory, what was the first inclination that you realized something had to change?
Well, my first realization something had to change was when my then wife said, "You need help. You need to go get help or I'm leaving you." I thought, yeah, okay. I thought, you're the one that's unhappy all the time. You're the one that is moody. You're the one that, you know, is irritable. You're the one that never wants to have sex anymore. You're the one that's yelling all the time. You know, I'm the one that puts up with everything, but okay, I'll go get help. and actually, when I did go to get help, and she was telling me, "You're a sex addict. You need to go." Wait a minute, we never have sex. How can I be a sex addict? And we're just like 2 years into our marriage.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I was trying to please her. I was trying to make her happy. I was trying to do everything, you know, to get her approval and, you know, put out all the fires she was always creating and deal with the drama. And so I thought, you know, okay, I'll go get help, but you're the one that's always unhappy. And so I actually went seeking help to figure out why me being such a good guy, a nice guy, didn't make her happy.
Yeah.
You know, why wasn't that good enough for her? I tried everything under the sun I could think of to make her happy. And luckily, I landed in some good places. One, I landed in a 12-step group for sex addicts, quickly found out I wasn't a sex addict, wasn't having enough sex to be a sex addict. But it was maybe the best place I could have landed because it was all guys. And so it became my first men's group. And I've become a big fan of men's groups. I think that's where we men do our best work is with other men. We got to have tribe. We got to have initiation. So in that group, I started revealing just everything I'd never, you know, revealed to anybody before. I grew up in a fundamental Christian church. I grew up with a critical father, kind of a demanding mother. So, you know, I just kept everything in that might get a negative response. So I just started revealing. I came to understand that's called releasing toxic shame, you know, this sense that I'm not good enough or I'm bad for my thoughts or my actions or just being me.
Yeah.
So that was great. I also got in with a therapist that taught me about boundaries. I learned to start making my needs a priority and asking for what I wanted. And then when I began to realize maybe what I was doing was significant, I was a therapist, had a private practice, a marriage and family therapist is my background.
Mm-hmm.
And as I started working on these pieces in me, how come me being a nice guy doesn't make my wife happy? How come it doesn't make her want to have sex? How come she still finds fault and is critical? How come it's never good enough? When's it going to be my turn, right? Guys that were coming to me for therapy, often with their wife or girlfriend, were saying the same things I was saying. I'm a nice guy. I'm one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. I treat her better than her ex. I'm raising her kids. I give her everything I want. I buy her the new car, but it's never good enough. She's never happy. She never wants to have sex anymore. And then added into that was the single guys coming in that say, all the women I know tell me I'm such a nice guy that, I'm going to make I'll be a really great catch for some lucky woman someday, but they don't want to date me. They only want to date the jerks, and then they come tell me all the problems they have with the jerks. And I'm a good listener. I treat them well. I, pay their car payment for them. I don't treat them badly. How come they don't want to be with me? And it started clicking. I'm not alone. I'm not the only one with this roadmap, this belief system that if I just am a good guy, if I do everything right, if I'm not like all the jerks and the assholes out there in the world that I heard my mother complain about, I've heard all other women complain about, then I'll be loved, I'll be liked, I'll get my needs met. Women will flock to me. They'll be so happy they found me. And I realized that didn't work. It wasn't working for me, and it wasn't working for anybody else I knew.
Right. Well, now, before you'd gotten married, maybe in like adolescence, teenage years, college age years. I don't know how old you were when you got married exactly, but before that, did you recognize any type of problem, just like in your dating life and things like that? Or were you just like, well, go along to get along. That's just the way I am. And if somebody can't accept that, then whatever, I guess. Or like, did you recognize that as any type of problem until like it was really
I did not know there was a problem till I was in my early to mid 30s. Like I said, when my second wife said, you need help. All right. Going back in time, again, I grew up in a fundamental Christian church.
Yeah.
The kind of a core message was sex is evil, dirty, and sinful. So save it for the one you love. Like there's no contradiction in that at all. You're going to go to hell for eternity if you lust after a woman's breasts. And, my mother raised me to be different from my father. She even told me that as a kid, I'm raising you to be different than your dad. She later apologized for that.
Yeah.
Bless her for that. And then I grew up during the angry feminism of the 60s and 70s. I was a teenager during that time where all I heard, all men are assholes, every man's a rapist, or an erection's a sign of aggression. All this stuff. I just thought, men are bad. Women don't, I heard women complain, men only want one thing. Kind of like, that's bad, So I was really working, with all of those kind of influences to not be that guy, to not be my dad, not be the jerk, not be an asshole, to not only want sex, to, not lust, to, all that energy. And, as I look back on it, I in terms of like dating and getting girlfriends, I had girlfriends, but I practiced what I call nice guy seduction. And that is, I would never just like be bold with a woman and say, hey, let's go out, or hey, I dig you, let's get together. It was like I had to impress them. Maybe it was sports or in the classroom. Maybe I'd sit kind of close to them and answer every question that the teacher or in college, the professor. I'd see, I'm smart. Maybe I would try to volunteer to do something for her or ask her things about her. Now, I also really, for the most part, always kind of dated down. And that, I'd kind of pick the women that weren't too threatening, that, maybe I could sense they were, they weren't the prettiest ones. Maybe they were as insecure as I was. And then once I got a girlfriend, I was a terrible ender. I could not end them. So, I've often said, my first two wives, I was married to for a total of 25 years. I married my first wife 2 days after I graduated from college, so I'd never actually lived alone as an adult. I went from a dormitory to, marriage. married my second wife. I met my second wife while I was still married to my first wife. So I had an affair. That's how my first marriage ended.
Okay.
The affair wasn't even a warning sign like, Robert, there's an issue here you need to look at, right? I just kept thinking, oh, yeah, I'll just keep, doing better, being a good guy.
Yeah.
So the first two women I had sex with were my first two wives, and I was married to them for a total of 25 years. And I've often said I should not have dated either woman more than 3 dates. They were both good women in their own way, but neither one was a very good fit for me. But because I was such a terrible picker, terrible dater, terrible ender, once I got a woman who liked me, especially, once I got into my, really late teens and early 20s, if she was having sex with me, well, I couldn't leave that, right? I couldn't walk away from that. I didn't know if I'd ever get that again.
Yeah, real scarcity type of mindset.
Scarcity, total scarcity mindset.
Yeah,
So
I mean
that's what brought me up to my late 40s. And that's not a joke. That's reality.
Well, I mean, better late than never, man. I mean, fuck, Colonel Sanders didn't start,
exactly.
KFC until he was like in
chicken.
his 60s.
Exactly.
What I mean?
I've heard that story.
Yeah, I write about it in my book. It's never too late to to make a real change. Because like you see so often, so many guys like, I don't know about you. I'm sure you've heard this. I'll go out on a limb, but I get a lot of guys that are like, "Oh, I'm too old for that," or "I'm too old to." The common one I get is, "I'm 30. I'm too old to go to like singles places or like a bar or a club." I'm like, 30?
The one I get, this one's the same category. I'm getting older. I'm afraid I'm too old to get the kind of woman I want.
Yeah.
Which is guy talk, or when they say get a high quality woman, it's still guy talk, red pill talk for, I want as young and as hot as possible.
Right.
And believe it or not, you probably run into this. Most men have this myth that, the young women aren't gonna want them. The older
yes, it's such a limiting belief, man. I just did a video on that recently about limiting beliefs, and that being one of them. I tell, man, I'm 46, okay, and I tell guys this all the time. I'm not suggesting that this can't happen. I'm just saying that it hasn't happened to me. Man, with my coaching and things like that, I'm out in those types of venues and atmospheres all the time. Just this last weekend, I was doing a retreat in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. And, so we're going to party areas and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I've never had a girl be like, are you looking for your kid, or like, why are you here?
Hey, Grandpa.
It's right. It's never happened to me. Not once.
But let's take it a step further, because this is a good subject. This is fun because probably a lot of you guys can relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of dating coaches will talk about something called social proof.
Yeah.
And social proof just basically speaks of an evolutionary dynamic that triggers a biological response in men and women both.
Sure.
Right. Mm-hmm. For us guys, social proof in a woman is she's young and hot, or she's, other guys are paying attention to her.
Right.
That's the social proof that she has value.
Right.
In men, what unfortunately a lot of dating coaches teach is, well, you got to be alpha to have social proof, or you got to have that V-shaped body, or you got to have the strong jaw, or that's social proof. Now, actually, there's a lot of things that create social proof or value from an evolutionary point of view. Now, if you think about this, is it for 1.5 million years? Men and women survived in tribes, and everything was communal. And, the masterful men hunted and gathered and fought other tribes and fucked the women well. It worked, right? So our female ancestors are used to the being provided for and protected by strong, masterful, confident men.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean you got to be a hunter or a warrior. I've never shot or killed anything. But there are certain things that can trigger this same dynamic in women. They don't think about it; they just experience it. And one of the analogies I give: if a man interacts with a woman with confidence, and another way I put this, that the feminine is highly attracted to a man who's comfortable in his own skin, knows where he's going, and looks like he's having a good time going there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if a man interacts with life, with in society, with culture, with women, with that sense of confidence, I like me. I'm comfortable with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going where I want to go. I'm making a difference in the world. That triggers the exact same chemical reaction in a woman's brain, evolutionarily wired, a guy would experience if a woman lifted her shirt and showed her his tits. We wouldn't have to think, do I like those? Do I want those? Do I want those in my mouth? You know, we don't think about that. We just get a biological reaction of attraction, arousal, desire. And women experience that with a man that has a social proof. Now, again, we think, well, that's the Navy SEALs, it's the guys that are billionaires.
Right.
No, that's all mythology and self-limiting belief. So, for example, I'm 67. So, I started dating at about your age, right? So I've been dating consciously about 20 years. I'm married now. I've been married to my wife for 6.5 years, 22 years younger than me. Beautiful woman, intelligent woman, probably has higher IQ than I do, wants sex all the time. She's at the gym right now. She's a fucking gym rat. She never leaves the house without looking, amazingly sexy.
Yeah.
And she treats me like gold, okay? I didn't go looking for that. But since I learned not only how to date well, but just live my life well, the women come on to me. I don't chase women. I've never chased women. I've never had to chase women.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had to go target. Well, I want the women have been coming on to me. Now, when I, again, about your age, started dating after 25 years of thinking I was a loser, I was wondering what planet I'd landed on. Women were hitting on me, getting naked on first dates without me ever pushing. And now at 67 years old, I know how to activate, attraction and arousal states in women. I teach how to do it, but I don't do it when I'm, engaging in publicly because I'm married and
right.
I got this Latina wife that, points out every woman who's trying to get my attention and hitting on me. And she's pointing them out everywhere we go. And it's not just her imagination. I can see it too.
Yeah.
And you know what? The majority of these women are younger than my son. I mean, my wife and I were camping a summer ago, and the 15-year-old daughter of the camp host ground, every time, she would ride with her dad in the golf cart every time they came by. And my wife goes, that girl's flirting with you. And I go, yeah, I know. I can see her body language. And we took something over to the trailer where the camp hosts lived. Yeah. And the mother came out to get it. It was just a little gift or something. And the daughter wanted to come out too. And the mother pushed her back inside the trailer. Kind of the mother even saw the 15-year-old girl, sending all these vibes to the 60-something-year-old dude. So the point is, doesn't matter what your age is.
Right.
If you are fit, if you are confident, if you look like you know how to groom yourself, if you look like you know how you put your shirt and pants together and they look like they, like you know what you're doing, if your shoes are clean, your fingernails are clean, if you look like you know what you're doing and you're still alive and ticking at 47, 67,
right.
That is social proof in an evolutionary way to a woman, because a woman isn't thinking he's got good genes. Right. She just, something's wired into her saying that guy has survived this long. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He's making a difference in the world. And there's an attraction to that. Doesn't matter what the age. They don't sit there thinking, I wonder how old he is. They don't think that.
Right.
They just
I agree. 100%.
They just go, I like that. I like that. I want him to notice me.
Now, I'm wondering if that girl has a poster of Dr. Robert Glover in her locker
Soon it's going to be like, FBI wants to know your location.
Yeah. Just the funny thing about this is it crosses all age groups. Just, a similar example. When back when I lived near Seattle, when I was single, living alone, there was a coffee shop in the apartment building. I lived in.
Shocker.
Yeah, yeah. And so, I spent a lot of time in that coffee shop. I go down every morning, got my newspaper. I'd be in and out. And I got to be known as the mayor of the coffee shop. And, there's just a group of people of all ages. We kind of just got to be friends. We'd have parties. We'd have get-togethers. And in that coffee shop, 2 examples. One was an older woman that was a regular in there. And she told me one time, she said, Robert, if I was like 10 years younger, I'd so want to date you. And I thought to myself, well, I told her, yeah, that's sweet. I thought, 20 years younger, maybe. I found out later, she graduated from the same high school as my mother, a year ahead of my mother.
Oh,
right?
wow.
She was a year older than my mother and hitting on me. And she kept reminding me she was a cheerleader in high school. I thought, that's really cool. Okay. Now, here's a woman a year older than my mother hitting on me, as the mayor of the coffee shop. I had another friend that I made, a guy around my age, and he and I spent time together, and his kids were younger. And he had a daughter, and when I got to know him, she's probably 16 or 17. And as I got to know them, I spent time at their house, and several people pointed out to me that the daughter at 17, 18 years old had a crush on me, and it was obvious to me as well.
Okay.
And I remember one time my buddy saying to me, "Oh, Robert, I won't say the girl's name. I'll just say Jessica." I said, "Robert, isn't it cute that Jessica has such a crush on you?" And I said to my friend, "Listen. As long as Jessica's dad thinks it's cute that Jessica has a crush on me, she let it be known, she wanted to fuck me. Right?
Yeah.
And I didn't go there. It's like, my good buddies, 17, 18-year-old daughter.
Right.
But in the same location, a woman my mom's age and a woman, 17, 18 years old. I was in my 50s. Both communicating strong desire. I wasn't hitting on either of them. I wasn't trying to make it happen. I was just living that kind of dynamic life that draws that feminine interest.
One of the things that we were talking about this right before you jumped on. One of the things that I see when guys start coming to the realization that they have these nice guy tendencies, maybe they can't set boundaries. Maybe, they're a people pleaser. Maybe, any litany of things, right? And they come to this realization and they have a wake up call, the crush of their life, like what you were just saying, the let's just be friends type of thing. You're a nice guy and everything, and you're going to make somebody happy one day. It's just not going to be me,
Or their wife doesn't want to have sex anymore. Or their wife says, I'm done. I want a divorce. Usually it's some crisis.
So, exactly. There's this wake up call. I know for me, the wake up call for me was, and I'm married, by the way. We have an open relationship and things like that, which enables me to do what I do for a living, I guess. But there's worse ways to make a living.
But you could do it even if it wasn't an open relationship. But that's a whole nother subject.
Right. But what I'm driving at here is that when the pendulum is over here. Yeah. And for me, what it was is like I had this, and I remember talking to my wife about this. I had this overarching theme or mindset that suggested and I vocalized this to her. I was like, I feel like everybody's my boss. Like that I'm just a servant to everybody, getting pulled a million different directions, and things like that. And we started researching it and things like that. And that's kind of how I stumbled across your book, by the way. And I also had got my testosterone checked at that time, and it was really low. And the doctor suggested that it was right, that it was average, but everything I was reading online was suggesting that
all the medical tables say, okay, it's normal that your testosterone drops as you get older. And actually, the bigger problem also is usually our estrogen is going up in proportion to our testosterone.
Yeah. So dealt with that and all that kind of stuff. Ended up, doing TRT and all that kind of thing. But what I'm getting at here is this. It's like the pendulum is over here, but there's like something holding the pendulum. And that event happens. And now the pendulum is free to swing. But instead of kind of going in the middle, it's like, whoop, like way over to the other side, where it's like, oh, I get it. I'm supposed to be the biggest asshole on planet Earth. Let me do that. See how that works, you know? And we're just totally shifts. And that's not good either. You know, it's these extremes it's so binary that people think about this stuff. Oh, you're suggesting that I shouldn't be nice to people? Like, no, man, that's not what I'm saying. You know, like what I'm saying is that you have to set some boundaries for yourself and things like that. So I'm sure that you've seen that pendulum swing the other way, right?
Yeah, and I get that question all the time. Or, you know, actually how guys usually phrase it. Well, I'll just back up a little bit. When my book got published back in 2003 in hardcover, I think the publishers, it was published by Barnes and Noble at that time. I think they were hoping it would have kind of a pushback. That there'd be a reaction to it. Public, why has this guy written a book teaching men to be not nice? You know, there's enough not nice men out there.
Situation.
And I think they were kind of hoping there'd be this backlash. There wasn't. You know, probably the only negative responses I've ever gotten on the book. You know, I get emails every day from people reading the book. Like you said, it changed my life. Sure. And I've been getting those emails for 20-something years. About the only negative reactions are people that's obviously never read the book and, maybe just went off the title and just go, well, these teaching guys should be assholes. Occasionally I get a negative reaction from a guy that says, I can't believe you said that my single mother couldn't raise me to be a good man. My mother was the most, she was a god. And kind of like they thought they took offense when I said boys need to be raised by men.
Right.
And the only other negative reaction I get is often these really long emails from a woman that said, you're terrible. You're Satan. My husband read your book and now he's left me. And, it's just like long email, like this long. And I'm going, run, get away. There's a reason why you've left, but it wasn't because he read my book,
Right.
The book might have helped. So, but yes, the thing I get from a lot of guys is, okay, I said, Robert, I get it. Over here on this one side of it, I'm the wussy doormat. I call it the WD, wussy doormat. I'm the nice guy. I got no boundaries. I'm trying to please everybody. I never get my needs met. I avoid conflict. And then and they go, and I know that doesn't work, but do I have to become this asshole jerk, this AJ, the guy that walks on people, that doesn't give a fuck, that just uses people? And the guys will usually say something like, I want to find that balance, that middle ground. And I always say, I'm not a big fan of balance. That is a nice guy thing. Oh, I need balance in my life. I've never actually met any particularly successful people that were particularly balanced. Most people, look at Elon Musk. Does he seem like a balanced guy to you? But according to world standards, he's amazingly successful.
Right.
So I'm not a big fan of balance in most things. The guys will say like moderation in all things. And I go, no, you don't really believe that. Eating rat poison in moderation, that's okay. Devil worship in moderation, that's okay. Whatever. We don't really believe it, right? So what I tell guys, if the pendulum's like this, and over here's wussy doormat, over here's asshole jerk, I said, I don't know where the tipping point is between two toxic or dysfunctional extremes. It's not the answer just to become a little bit more asshole, or just the assholes become a little bit more nice. Because what's happening for both at the extremes. When I wrote No More Mr. Nice Guy, I primarily talked about being a shame-based disorder. Shame, toxic shame, is this core internalized inaccurate belief that I'm not okay. I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. And if people find that out about me, they're going to reject me or not love me or hurt me. Okay. Now, I've also, by the time the book was published, I'd really also come to realize that probably equally involved in the formation of a nice guy, along with shame, is anxiety. The nice guys are trying to manage their anxiety, to not be seen as bad, to not be rejected, to not be alone. And so what both the wussy doormat and the asshole jerk are doing actually is the same. They're both trying to manage their shame and manage their anxiety. They're just doing it differently. They're both in an activated fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response to deal with stress of life. The wussy doormat is in the flight or freeze or fawn. I'll do everything right. I'll avoid. I'll run away. I'll keep a low profile. I'll keep everything undercover. That's just a way of managing shame and anxiety. Whereas the asshole jerk is also in a fight, flight, freeze response. He's just in the fight response. I'll dominate. I'll kick some ass. I'll be aggressive. Now, neither one is thinking this out. They're both in a very unconscious, dysfunctional pattern of trying to manage two things that probably can't be managed. Their anxiety and their shame. There's other ways to deal with them than trying to either, avoid conflict, never upset anybody, don't rock the boat, don't piss anybody off, don't get a negative reaction, versus I don't give a fuck, I'll just kick ass, but neither one of those work particularly well. So becoming somewhere in the middle doesn't work. So that's why in No More Mr. Nice Guy, I talk about becoming what I call an integrated male. Right. Where an integrated male isn't trying to just find that happy middle ground, is rising up out of living in a shame response, living in an anxiety response, learning to set boundaries, learning to make our needs a priority, learning to have passion. I don't know if I mentioned have boundaries, but all these things are things we learn as an integrated male. Being able to ask ourselves, what do I want? And then follow through on it. None of those are reaction states. There's a great quote a friend turned me on to a couple of years ago, and I kind of misquote it mostly but I love it. It's by Viktor Frankl, and maybe you've run into it, but the quote is something like, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and within that space is our ability to choose our response, and in that response lies our freedom and our power. Okay. The nice guy and the asshole jerk are both in reaction mode, triggered by anxiety, shame, and fear. The integrated male is in response mode. He's grounded. He's secure. He can soothe his anxiety. He's worked at releasing his shame. He can make his needs a priority. He can say yes. He can say no. He can set boundaries. He can remove himself. And he's living his life on his terms. That's a whole different thing than trying to find some, middle ground between those two extremes. Now, yes, most people, when they go from this extreme, doesn't matter what it is, they do go to that extreme. Doesn't matter if they, quit drinking or doing drugs and find, a 12-step program. They go from being, the drunk to the dry drunk. Doesn't matter if they find religion. They go from being the sinner to, holier than thou. Everybody's got to do it, the way I've discovered. Most people swing. Right. And I say in the book in reference to setting boundaries, because most people are never taught how to set boundaries in childhood or adolescence or adulthood. So when we learn about them, we often become what I call kamikaze boundary setters. We come on really strong. Somebody bumps into us. And hey, you're, asshole. What are you, we just would have said, hey, excuse me, man. You're right. There's probably a better, but that's really okay. It's okay if we kind of do a little bit of that kamikaze swing, and hopefully we begin to get better information. We learn to deal with our own states of anxiety and shame, and learn better skill sets and learn how to respond, more than react. But it takes practice. I'm still in a men's program. I've been in this program for 5 years, where that's where I go work on my response rather than reaction, because my nice guy stuff is wired deeply into my nervous system. Yeah. I mean, my wife, I love her dearly. She treats me like gold, but she can get this look on her face. And I can tell by just her breathing, if she's just kind of frown, I can tell if I give her a hug and she's just kind of, I feel it. And I go, it's like, oh, fuck, I'm going to die. That's so wired into my nerve. I'm not going to die. This woman's not going to leave me. She loves me. And she got my initials tattooed on her hips. It's like, but the reaction inside is like, it's fight, flight, or freeze. I'm going to die. So I may be working on this shit till the day I die. I'm learning to soothe myself, be grounded, to open up to what scares me, what frightens me, and good news is I see progress. So, and I've only been doing this for 30 years, right? But I see progress.
Well, now, okay, so it's been 20 years since The book came out, right?
There's No More Mr. Nice Guy came out in print, right?
Right. Are you going to do anything like any 20th anniversary type of thing?
Yeah, I did a little happy dance. I grabbed my crotch and kind of waved my hand in the air. You know, when I realized I got a poster on the wall right over there that was from the Barnes and Noble, Fifth Avenue, New York. It's not there anymore on Fifth Avenue. But it says, "Meet the author, Robert A. Glover, Monday, February 3rd, 6 p.m." Well, that was February 3rd of 2003.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just, 20 years and a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of did just a slight update on the book at 15 years, and that didn't really change anything, just fixed a few mistakes, and the publisher made a couple new mistakes, in the newer edition, a couple typos. I was able to read the Audible for it. But, I've published a couple books since then, and I've got several other projects going on.
Okay.
So, I'm still, putting this information out in the world. So yeah, still hustling. Yeah.
Well, it's needed, man. I mean,
it is, what we're doing. Yeah. All right, let me just talk about this for a second.
Okay.
When I did my book tour 20 years ago, my publisher sent me across the U.S. and, New York and Chicago and Denver and San Francisco and L.A. and Seattle. And, I did a lot of media interviews, newspapers, radio, TV. And, a lot of people asked me the same question. They'd say, Dr. Glover, do you think there will be a worldwide men's movement? Like feminism, like the women's movement? And my answer was typically, no, I don't think so. I don't think there's one unifying issue that would bring men together. And for women, a lot of it had to do with equal pay for equal work, free fairness, equal rights, things like that.
Sure.
And about the only thing I could think of that might unify men was maybe, custody rights, for single, dads and
sure.
Getting better rights for fathers. But I thought that's not going to create a worldwide men's movement. Now, 20 years later, I realized I was maybe right to a degree, but I was also wrong about a worldwide men's movement. Because what I've realized is that probably we are right now in the midst of an amazing worldwide men's movement that's not maybe visible in those terms. And I suspect you guys see this. What's happening is that men, maybe without being really consciously aware of it, go looking for something. Mm-hmm. Maybe not real consciously, but they go looking for something. And they go looking for it in different ways. Some guys may go looking for it through addiction recovery, go to a 12-step program, and then they go looking for that. Maybe some guys go, they're going through a divorce, so they go to, a divorce support group at their church. Maybe some guys say, well, I got to get fit. I got to take better. So they go looking for it at the gym or a martial arts class. Maybe some guys say, I got to learn how to get a girlfriend or get laid. So they go looking for it in a dating boot camp.
Sure.
Other guys go find it in more of, the yogic or the consciousness movement or the red pill movement, or, the guys go looking for something and they think they're looking for this, how to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu or how to do MMA or how to get through my divorce or how to get laid. But really what they're doing is they're seeking tribe. They're seeking connection with other men. Now, they don't know that initially until they come to find out, they're in 12-step recovery and they're attracted to the stag group. Mm-hmm. It's all guys. And they go and they just would rather be with guys. Or they realize, in the dojo, they're just connecting with men. They're grappling with other men.
Right.
Maybe it's in the David Data, consciousness movement.
Right.
And they realize I'm going out in the desert with a bunch of dudes. Yep. Or whatever it is, maybe they think they're going to the pickup boot camp to go get chicks, and what they really come to realize is, hey, I like hanging out with the dudes I meet here. Yeah. We're having a good time going out with brothers. Yeah. Yeah. If they get a chick, great. But the good part was they got to go out and cruise with a bunch of good dudes, right? Yeah. So here's what I think is happening worldwide. Men are isolated and disconnected from other men, from tribe. Like I mentioned earlier, for 1.5 million years, men existed as tribe. And men primarily connected with men. Men went out and they hunted, they gathered, they fought, they did guy things with guys. Now, as our tribal existence kind of began to wane about 10,000 years ago, and we became more agrarian, our forefathers began to just stay in one place. They found a good piece of land. They could grow something. They could grow, some animals. They started kind of owning stuff. That's kind of where the patriarchy began, of where the men own their wives, their kids, their cow, their land. But even during this period of time, is that the fathers still raised their sons. The boys grew up with their father, their grandfather. We had these extended families, uncles, cousins. Rites of passage still existed. You maybe, you learned from a blacksmith how to become a blacksmith. You worked with him for, apprenticeships.
Right.
You learned how to fight from being, part of the tribe. Even after we weren't so tribal. And it's really only been for the last 100 years or so that fathers became absent and men became absent in the lives of boys, where boys started going away to school to get educated. Most of their teachers are women. Dad started leaving the house to go work at a job, raised by our mothers. Then we grow up and all the romanticism in culture says, the highest ideal in life is to get a beautiful woman who loves you. All this, everything, drama, movies, songs, or go get a good, beautiful woman to love you.
Right.
But the truth is, the depth of connection for men, where we truly find love, where we truly find discipline, where we truly learn the most, where we truly become better men, the best men that we can be, is with men, with other initiated men, other masterful men, other integrated conscious men. That's where and that's what men are looking for. Because if you think about it now, think about your lives growing up. How much time did you actually spend with men? Just with men, with older men, wiser men, powerful men, masterful men. Maybe you played a sports team and you had a good coach. Yeah. Maybe you went in the military and you kind of. But for the most part, we're raised by women. Our educational system's female oriented. We get out of that and we start either being kind of alone or chasing women, but we don't have our tribe of men. So we are seeking that tribe. And, you ask about what else I got going on. I'll just mention that in probably just about a month, I'm going to launch a worldwide tribe called Integration Nation.
Oh,
it's going to be
nice.
Online, a membership community.
Yeah.
My intention is for it to be the world's largest online community of integrated, conscious, masterful men. And it's going to be huge. I've been working on it for a year. I've got a team working with me. And, I thought about kind of semi-retiring about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. I took a little 3-month sabbatical, didn't see any clients.
You got bored, didn't you?
You know what? I enjoyed the time, but I got done with that thinking, there's some other stuff I want to get done first.
Yeah.
I want to convert all my classes to video. And then I thought, and then a guy said, Robert, you need to create a membership community. You need to make your product available with more direction for people to find. I've got 40 years of product out there.
Yeah.
Podcasts, interviews, forums, live Q&As, all archived.
Sure.
And I thought, okay, I'm gonna die soon. I've had a couple near-death experiences in the last 5 years. One about 5 years ago had a tumor blocking my small intestine. Nobody could figure out what was wrong. Just back in December, COVID blew up my prostate. I had a catheter for a month and had to have surgery.
Nice.
So, it's kind of like, fuck, man,
Yeah.
I how much time do I got left?
Right.
Maybe another good 20, 30 years. And I thought, all right, No More Mr. Nice Guy was a good start for changing the world. My dating books have been helpful in changing the world, but I'm not done yet. So this Integration Nation, your people listening can just go, log in integrationnation.net. So, it's going to launch in about a month. It's going to be dynamic. It's going to be powerful. The mantra is good men doing better. It's going to have initiation. It's going to have community. It's going to have teaching. It's going to have coaching. It's going to have mentoring. It's, like I said, I've been working my ass off for a year on it, but fuck retirement. I'm in for another 20 years. I'm on a mission. I got work to do. I'm not done yet.
I'm glad to hear it, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing that for sure. Because again, how transformational your work has been for me, not so much Shaban, but for me. No.
He was born having his shit together. I can tell by looking at him.
Now, Well, I know we're running short on time here a little bit, but one question I have is, in the 20 years since the book came out to now, and you talk about like what you were just saying about community and guys looking for that tribe. One of the things that I notice a lot is that I think really holds guys back and stunts them is, I think of it as a crisis in purpose, like everything's just so dictated to you, like you go to school, you graduate from high school, then you're supposed to go to college, then you're supposed to, get your job and everything
get married, have kids, get a mortgage, buy a house,
right. It's like that's your blueprint for life.
Go play golf and watch Fox News after you retire.
Right. As opposed to actually going out and fulfilling some type of purpose inside of their life, which is so dope that you're not retiring, because that's how I see it for you, is like, this is my purpose. I can't just not do it.
And you're right, and I agree with that unequivocally, because what a lot of nice guys tell me, and this isn't just for nice guys, this is true for most men nowadays, is that men either get absolutely no direction whatsoever, or they just get told a lot what not to be. Mm-hmm. Don't be like the jerks. Don't be sexual. Don't be aggressive. Don't be this. Don't be toxic masculine. Don't be like your father. So we get to be late adolescence, early adulthood, and we don't know what the fuck. So most men, the terminology I use, end up in the nursery. The nursery where everything's safe, everything's pretty easy, especially young men that grew up basically, downloading porn and stealing music and Napster on the internet. Everything should be free. I can spend hours every day on the internet, playing video games, World of Warcraft, jerking off, smoking dope, just nothing, don't require anything of me.
I call that Saturday, by the way.
Saturday. And you know what? It's okay to have a Saturday. But when you're 37 years old, 47 years old, and every day's fucking Saturday, you're still, getting high, staying up to 2 a.m, on the video games, or, just jerking off or surfing the internet or watching Netflix. All of those are okay. Smoke some dope, drink something, jerk off. All right. But when every day's Saturday,
right,
and there's nothing, that tomorrow doesn't look any different than yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. That's a problem. And to me, that's my definition of toxic masculinity, is when men don't have purpose, don't have mission. Now, a lot of guys come to me, they've read David Data. I love David Data's stuff, Way the Superior Man. Mm-hmm. They say, I can't find my purpose. And I go, have you been reading David Data? Yeah. I can't. I go, okay, listen. And much that I love data stuff, there's maybe one area where I don't know that I agree with them 100%. Mm-hmm. I don't know that our purpose necessarily is singular. I think as a man, to feel fulfilled and make a difference in the world, we got to fucking do everything with purpose and passion. Show up for an interview with purpose and passion. Get up, brush your teeth with purpose and passion.
Yeah.
If you're going to look something up on the internet, do it with purpose and passion. You're going to fuck your woman, do it with purpose and passion. Do everything purposefully, passionately, with every bit of your presence and consciousness and heart. And if you do the simple stuff like it matters, then the big stuff just kind of naturally gets taken care of. You do it like it matters as well.
Yeah.
And then we find fulfillment. Then we attract the good woman. Then we turn on the woman that we have. Then we put a fucking dent in the universe, because we're getting up doing everything like it matters.
Right. Yeah,
it's the habit. Yeah.
It's habit. Make it a habit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Purpose can definitely evolve. I'll tell you, my purpose at 20 is not my purpose now, I mean, how could it be, So
exactly.
It can definitely evolve. But what I always tell guys is like this, because I get that often, I don't know what my purpose is. Like, okay, you're ready. I'm about to give you your purpose. Your purpose is to find your purpose. Start doing things that have always been, I call them peripheral interests, like One day, I'm going to learn how to play the guitar. One day, I'm going to learn how to cook Italian food. One of these days, I'll get around to rebuilding a car. Start making that day today. If it's not something that resonates with you, that's okay. Move on to the next thing. But you may find that you have a natural disposition. There's a reason why that interest, of all the billions of interests on planet Earth, there's a reason why that interest spoke to you, that something there said something to you. Yeah. Now, you may be a natural at it. It might be something you got to work at. It might be something that you don't even really want to do, and that's okay. Move on to the next thing. What's worst case scenario? Oh, I just happen to know how to play the guitar now. Yeah. Whoops.
Exactly. Example is, I agree with you 100%. Like when I was early in my single years, so about 20 years ago, I was visiting, come down to Mexico some, and I saw people salsa dancing. That looks really cool. I want to learn to dance. But every woman in my life would always say, Robert, you got no rhythm. You can't dance. And I thought, fuck it, I want to learn to salsa. But I took salsa lessons for 2-3 years. And, I found out I didn't love it. Yeah. I liked it. I'm glad I did it. I learned how to lead, which is, great in life because you got to lead if you're in a salsa. Yep. But I did it enough to find out I didn't love it enough to dedicate my life to it. Right. So I moved on, right? I've got a guitar actually sitting right here that I bought 20-something years ago. A buddy's coming to visit this weekend, and I said, if you want to play my guitar this weekend, bring some guitar strings because it hasn't been played since the last time you were here. I learned to play guitar when I was a kid. I always had this vision of being, getting a Stratocaster and playing like Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan. But fuck it, I don't have the talent and I don't have the drive. So, but you know what? I'm glad. I'm glad I got the guitar. Yep. Right? Yeah. But I found out I don't love it enough to do it. So, and even like what I'm doing right now, building this giant community, I've been at it for a year. And a bunch of people are working with me. It's costing me a bunch of money. I question my sanity daily. But I told someone just a day or so ago, I said, you know what? Maybe I'm totally misguided. Maybe it's going to flop. Maybe I said, but the worst case scenario is, it took about a year of my life and about 50 grand. And that's all. That's the worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. Best case scenario is I fucking change the world. Yeah. I make a difference in the world. And, my mission may be different 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I'm really okay with that. Yeah. But every time I doubt myself, I'm not religious anymore. Grew up fundamental Christian church. I have 2 degrees in religion. I was a minister for 8 years. Oh, wow. Haven't been religious for years, right? But that did have, an influence on me. And, everything's been pointing me in the direction for years now of doing this thing I'm talking about, building Integration Nation. Just lots of little things keep pointing me. And I came across a scripture. I was reading a book, a fiction book a year or so ago, and the scripture was in it. And I printed it out, and I'm thinking about getting it tattooed on my arm. Now, again, I'm not religious. This is Old Testament scripture for a guy that's not religious. Yeah. That says, the word of the Lord came to me saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. I got this sitting on my desk. Like I said, I'm really close to making the decision to get it tattooed on my arm. Do it. Right?
Do it.
It's going to happen. But the point is, what if all of us had some sort of knowing of this? Man, we got to be reminded of it. Not that it's a belief in Yahweh, God, Jehovah, Allah. It's not like, do you believe in a specific God or religion? But do you believe you're here for a reason? Right. You were set apart. You were pre-designated to come make some fucking difference for the years you lived on this planet. More than just, as I say, most people live a life of cockroaches. They're born, they consume, they breed, they die, and they say, that was a good life. No, it's not. No. It's not a good life. I walked in my office earlier. There's a dead cockroach right outside my door, right? No, that's not a good life. A good life is making a fucking difference. Yeah. That exactly. You were here and you didn't just take up space and consume resources, spread your sperm around. You were fucking here and you made the world a better place. You made people's lives better.
Yeah.
You became the best possible version of yourself. That's the mission, right? That's the mission that I remind myself that every time I have a doubt. Is this really what I want to be doing? You know, I've got a Winnebago RV parked at my mother's house up in Seattle. Wouldn't it be better just to be kind of cruising around in the RV? I got my Elon Musk satellite dish on the top of it. I can get internet anywhere. It's got solar panels. I can live off the grid. You know, wouldn't I really rather just be getting up and reading novels? No, I'm not done yet.
Yeah,
I'm not done yet. And what if we're not done till the day we die? What if we're not done? What if we're here to make a difference? And what if every day we ask ourselves, am I making that difference? Am I doing better today than I did yesterday in how I show up in the world? Not do I need to be a better person, not do I need to become a different person. Be who you are. Be all that you are. You know, you're perfect, but we can do better every single day in how we manifest this mission, this purpose in the world.
Yeah, you don't have to be different to make a difference.
No, be you. Be you. Be all of you. Don't hold anything about you back.
Right. It's just about being the best, like you said, the best version of you. You know,
Yes.
you know. I mean, throughout the course of any given day, you know, maybe I'm at my best, maybe I'm not. You know, but it's up for me to try to hit that mark as much as I possibly can because I know what that best is. You know,
you do.
So. But on that note, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Don't cheat you. Don't cheat the world. Don't cheat your woman. Yeah, bring it all. Bring it all.
Yeah, like that's true. Like just for example, like you said, right? Like for example, say like Robert, suppose if you were actually like if you decided to be a guitar player instead of actually going on your mission, we wouldn't have Mr. Nice Guy today, and like it would have changed an entire career. Like it would have been something entirely different. You may not even be happy as a guitarist. Like who knows? Like it would have been completely different. But that's the thing, because you did that decision, because you made the difference of like, yes, I want to change the world, and you took that step. We are here.
We're here talking to each other. Exactly.
Yep, exactly. It's the little things, man. It can be a simple decision. It was kind of the same for him. It was the same for me. That's how I met Dale, and like I consider myself very lucky because in spite of being this young, I get to meet people like you. Because like it's funny, that's how I actually met Dale. Dale had put a request saying that he needed his website fixed, and I just messaged him, I can help out with that, and that's how we get to know each other. And
isn't that great? Isn't that great how the world works?
Yeah, exactly.
This guy's in fucking India. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really? Really? I didn't.
Yeah. It's like, for example, it's 12 o'clock at night for me right now, and here I am talking to you guys. So it's like,
I love it. One of my core assistants lives in Pune, and so often I'm having communication with him, and then he'll send me something, and I'll think, what time is it in Pune? And I'll look, and it's 2:00 in the morning, and he's still up living his mission. So you guys, and it's guys like you, right? I get to do a lot of these kind of interviews. Sure. I'll just say this quickly. When I started my own Nice Guy recovery, 30 years ago, there wasn't much out there.
Yeah.
There was Robert Bly, Iron John, Michael Mead, go out in the woods, pound a drum, say ho. And that's good stuff. I did it. But you know what? Because of people like you guys and just the internet, countless other good men that want to make a difference in the world, there's no excuse for men to not go be the best version of themselves, find tribe, get initiation. It's there, it's available. And thank you to men like you that are putting that out there.
That means a lot coming from you.
We're tribesmen. We're tribesmen. We're brothers.
What's the best way that somebody can contact you?
Okay, my main website's drglover.com, just drglover.com. And like I say, if they if they're curious about Integration Nation, and based on integrated men, no more Mr. Nice Guy. Just go to integrationnation.net.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep. Well, again, listen, if you don't have a copy of this, grab you a copy. I mean, they're all over the place. I'm Amazon, wherever.
Just go on Amazon, get a copy. Yeah.
Just Google search at this point. You'll find it. Like,
if you Google "No More Mr. Nice Guy," I got all the tech. I'm ahead of Alice Cooper. Even, for
So yeah, for sure, for sure.
So go out and get that. Keep an eye on what Dr. Glover's got going on. And listen, Doctor, appreciate you being on. Like, again, such an honor and a privilege, man, because, you know, they say don't meet your heroes, but fuck that. You know, like.
No, like, yeah, exactly. Like, here I am at 12 o'clock meeting my heroes, man. Like, what else can I ask for?
You guys are
Exactly.
great.
You know, all right. Well, listen, guys. Make sure that you share this with somebody that you know needs to hear it. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. We'll talk to you soon. Salute.
Peace.